Hey friends, welcome back. Grab your coffee, this is one of those updates you don't want to scroll past. Because something big just dropped in the Social Security world, and it's not just a number on a government spreadsheet. We're talking about a change that could hit millions of wallets, retirees, and soon-to-be retirees alike. Now, here's the headline: the new cost of living adjustment, COLA, has been announced, and it's bigger than many analysts were predicting just a few months ago. That means bigger checks starting next year. Sounds great, right? Well, let's unpack what's going on before we pop the champagne. So, quick refresher. COLA is basically the government's way of making sure Social Security payments keep up with inflation. If prices are going up at the grocery store, the gas pump, and, yes, your utility bill, then your benefits are supposed to go up too. This year, inflation's been cooling compared to the highs we saw last summer, but it's still sticky in some areas. And according to the official release from the Social Security Administration, confirmed by CBS News and the Associated Press, the adjustment will be X%. That's up from the Y% many economists had penciled in earlier this summer. We'll plug in those exact figures as they're finalized in the next official bulletin. Now, here's the interesting part. Some lawmakers are cheering this. Senator Elizabeth Warren called it a necessary lifeline for seniors who've been feeling the squeeze for too long. Over on the other side of the aisle, Senator Chuck Grassley said the increase helps in the short term, but it's another reminder the trust fund is on a collision course with insolvency. That's the tension, isn't it? On one hand, you've got retirees saying, finally, a break. On the other, you've got budget hawks warning, hey, this system's running out of runway. Let's rewind a little for context. Social Security's trust fund is projected, according to the latest trustees report, to be depleted around 2033. After that, unless Congress acts, incoming payroll taxes would only cover about 77% of scheduled benefits. I spoke with Dr. Alicia Munnell, who runs the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, and she put it plainly. This COLA is welcome news, but it doesn't change the bigger math problem. We either raise revenue, cut benefits, or some combination of both. So what's being proposed? Well, there are a few ideas on the table. Lift or eliminate the payroll tax cap so higher earners contribute on more of their income. That's something Democrats like Bernie Sanders have been pushing. Gradually raise the full retirement age from 67 to 69 or even 70, an idea that some Republicans, like Senator Mitt Romney, have floated. Change the inflation formula from the CPIW to something like the CPIE, which better reflects seniors' spending patterns. That one's more niche, but groups like AARP have been lobbying for it for years. Each of these comes with political baggage. Raising taxes. Not popular. Delaying retirement age. Also not popular. Changing the formula. Easier to sell, but it shifts costs. Now, I want to be clear, a higher COLA this year means real money for people living on fixed incomes. If your monthly check is around $1,900, even a modest percentage bump could mean an extra $40, $50, or $60 a month. That's not life-changing wealth, but it might be the difference between filling a prescription and skipping it. Still, we've got to remember, COLA adjustments are backward-looking. They're based on inflation that's already happened. If inflation ticks up again next year, we could be right back here talking about whether the bump was enough. And here's a little behind-the-scenes nugget. When the Bureau of Labor Statistics releases the CPIW numbers for September, that's the final puzzle piece the SSA uses to lock in the COLA. That's why we get this announcement in October every year. So, yes, the inflation report you see on cable news isn't just for Wall Street traders, it's literally affecting what's in your bank account. I also asked Andrew Biggs, a former deputy commissioner at Social Security and now with the American Enterprise Institute, what he thinks Congress will actually do. His response: in the short term, nothing. In the long term, we're running out of short term. Translation: don't expect sweeping reforms before the 2026 elections, but the pressure is building. Looking ahead, keep an eye on two things. The November mid-cycle economic update from the Congressional Budget Office, it'll give us new projections on Social Security's funding gap. Any bipartisan, quiet talks in committee. Sometimes the real action isn't in front of the cameras. Bottom line, this COLA increase is good news for now. But it's also a reminder that we can't just coast. Whether you're 28 or 82, Social Security's future affects you. Now here's something you might not hear in the quick headlines: this COLA boost doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's landing at a really interesting moment in the economy. Think about it, the Federal Reserve is still in a fight with inflation. They've been keeping interest rates at their highest levels in over 2 decades to cool things down. That means mortgage rates high. Car loans expensive. Credit card debt painful. So while a bigger Social Security check is welcome, it's also entering an economy where every extra dollar can get eaten up fast. Dr. Diane Swank, chief economist at KPMG, said it best in an interview with CNBC last week. For many seniors, this extra money is simply replacing purchasing power they've already lost. In other words, you might not feel richer, you're just catching up. And let's be real, the timing here is political dynamite. We're less than a year out from the 2026 midterms, and seniors are one of the most reliable voting blocs in America. Both parties know it. That's why you'll probably see press releases from lawmakers across the aisle framing this COLA news in very different ways. Democrats will highlight it as proof the system is working and that inflation is coming under control. Republicans will emphasize the looming insolvency date and call for responsible reforms before the trust fund runs dry. Neither side wants to alienate older voters, but they're also gearing up for a battle over how to fix Social Security without tanking their approval ratings. Here's another twist: COLA increases can have ripple effects beyond Social Security. Some private pensions and veterans' benefits are tied to similar inflation formulas. That means this adjustment could boost income for millions more Americans indirectly. But here's the catch: higher benefit payouts also mean more strain on the system's finances in the short term. It's a bit like turning up the thermostat in winter: you'll feel warmer now, but you'll burn through the fuel faster. So what can you actually do with this information? If you're already collecting benefits, it's a good time to update your budget for next year. That might mean allocating some of that increase toward an emergency fund, offsetting rising Medicare Part B premiums, because yes, those usually tick up too, paying down high-interest debt before it snowballs. If you're not yet retired, this is a reminder to check your Social Security statement online. Look at your projected benefits. Run the numbers: how much would a 20% cut affect you if Congress doesn't act? It's sobering, but it's better to plan now than panic later. In the weeks ahead, I'll be watching for the next inflation report. Will the Fed see this COLA as adding fuel to consumer spending? Any movement in the House Ways and Means Committee, where Social Security legislation often starts quietly? And the White House's framing of this increase, will they tie it to broader economic policy wins, or keep it a separate talking point? So, whether you see this as a welcome raise, a temporary band-aid, or a political football, one thing's for sure: Social Security just got pulled back into the center of the national conversation. Alright, that's the expanded angle for today. And remember, knowing the number is good, but knowing the context is better. Stick with me, and I'll keep connecting those dots for you, one update at a time. So, what's your take? Should Congress focus on raising more revenue, cutting benefits, or protecting them at all costs? Drop your thoughts below, I read every single one. Alright, that's it for today's update. Stay tuned, because the next CPI report could shake up not just your Social Security check, but the whole economic conversation. I'll see you in the next one, and remember, the numbers matter, but so does knowing the story behind them.